Pro. Oh, look at that. Live Thursday evening, 8 p.m. JFDI podcast. Once more here. Hi, G's. Welcome. Welcome again. Tonight, I've got a very special guest for you. And it's my absolute honour, really is, and a real joy to introduce you to a gentleman I've known for, well, I think probably, I don't know, 18 months, couple of years, I think, maybe. But we had the introduction proper face-to-face when, like crazy lunatics, both of us, I think it was the first time, and he'll correct me if I'm wrong, met when we decided to, as part of a group, climb Ben Nevis earlier this year, within the first week of January. So you can imagine how much snow there was, and it was, well, we'll maybe talk about it when he comes on. He is a coach, founder of Inspire Coaching, and I love this. What he does is he helps men create a life that electrifies them. He doesn't want a piece of that. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the JFDI podcast, Mr. Craig Jones. Good evening.
Evening, mate. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Me too. Inspire Coaching, mate. I love that bit. Helping men create a life that electrifies them.
That's exactly it. It's. I was told to try and think of some kind of strap line that I could use, something that could put on my bio and everything on Facebook. But that just fitted for me. That just fitted perfectly because even when I came up with the name, that's the reason why I came up with the name Inspire, because that is what I want to do. I'm firmly of the belief that there's a hell of a lot of men out there at the minute that are living a life that's, to be honest, without sounding too harsh, it's fucking boring. To be honest, you know what I mean? And I'm speaking from experience as well. This is not me just digging people out unnecessarily, because I did the same for a long time. Yeah. I was living a life that was nowhere near the one that deep down I knew I wanted to live, if that makes sense. I wasn't living to my values. I wasn't living to the things that really mattered to me. I wasn't really pushing myself. I wasn't really doing too much that was that exciting. Like obviously me and you climbed Ben Nevis at the beginning of the year. I was doing none of that shit at that point. Do you know what I mean? It was just kind of going through the motions, like getting up, going to work, paying the bills. It's like there's more to life than doing that. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I want to do. Like I've been on a really good journey the last 12, 18 months from a personal development standpoint myself. And I basically just want to help other men go on the same journey that I've been on, basically.
Yeah. Brilliant. I love it. We'll get more into that later because I've got loads of questions about it. As you can imagine, I wouldn't have asked you. I wouldn't have asked you in the podcast.
A bit of a boring hour if you hadn't, but no.
However, it is a little bit different on this one, as we were talking about in the old virtual green room. We have a special vehicle on the JFDI podcast, in that I ask everybody to choose tunes. How easy was it for you to get this selection nailed down?
I really enjoyed it, to be honest. It was when we were talking before, you said the best way to do it really is to just not try and overthink it. But that's a big problem that I have, because I am naturally I am an overthinker. So I did think it was going to take me a lot longer than what it did, but once I started going through it, they kind of just started jumping out to me for various different reasons. It's like, well, that's got to be in for this reason, and that's got to be in for this reason, and there was a couple in there that I thought would stay in the top 5 and ended up getting taken out. But I enjoyed doing it. I really enjoyed doing it. I listened to them all as well while I was doing it. When I picked them out, I purposely put them on and listened to them all.
Yeah, I do that. I do that every week. Every single week, I listen to them as well. The JFDI podcast playlist on Spotify I'm actually thinking it might need split. I might need to do like last year's. I might need to do the playlist for 21 and a playlist for 22 because there's too many songs on them. They're all brilliant. They're all fantastic as well.
I'm sure that playlist is the same, but my music library is like so ridiculously varied. It's honestly, it's unbelievable. Like I can, one minute, like I can be driving in the car. If I've got it on shuffle, I can have a song on that's like a really dirty, like upbeat, like some kind of speed garage dance tune that's on, that's literally like going to get you that hyped up that you could boot your own cat over the fence. And then the next minute, it'll be like Adele. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's how varied it is. It's weird. But yeah, like I was saying to you before, like for me, music and songs, it's all about how it makes me feel. When I hear it, it's how it makes me feel. And a lot of the time, it's like, it's all from an energy aspect with me. Like I can drive to the gym or the PT in the morning at like 6:30 in the morning, but I'll still have the music like blasting out. Whereas some people have not even like woke up at this point. It's like I'm constantly, every time I put music on, I'm wanting it to give me that energy. Do you know what I mean? So for one reason or another, every song that I'm listening to, it's to like increase my energy, or it's based on how it makes me feel when I hear it.
Yeah, it means different things to different people. But that kind of feeling and that feeling that it instills can be for, like you say, so many different reasons as well.
Different people are different. So some people, a song will really resonate with them because of the words in it and because of meaning they're taking from it and everything from the lyrics and that. Whereas I can, like some of the songs, like my favourite songs, like there's some of them, 90% of the words I couldn't even tell you. It's purely down to like the music or how it makes me feel when I hear that song. Yeah. So I'm not necessarily like taking in the words and everything. It's just how it makes me feel. Like there's some songs that'll just, every single time they come on, I'll turn it up. Every time. Every time it comes on, as soon as I know that it's that song that's coming on, I'll turn it up, and then like we were talking about, I'll start and feel that energy, and I'll start and feel different and feel really pumped up and everything. And that's what I like out of a song, how it makes me feel.
Yeah, I know, brilliant. Should we go to your first one?
Let's go.
Yeah, so it's Jay-Z featuring, am I right, Kanye and Rihanna, isn't it? Run This Town.
It is, yeah. And this is a classic example of just like a song that just makes me feel like pumped up. This is the kind of song that I imagine that, like, if I ever did like a white collar boxing or anything like that, which I've considered doing like at some point as some kind of challenge, this is the kind of song that like it gets me pumped up in the way that like I'd probably have it as the song that I came out to. It's just one of those songs that really, really just gets me in that mood. And it's a prime example of one of them songs that every time it comes on, I'll instantly turn it up. As soon as it comes on, I'll turn it up because I know how it's going to make me feel. But yeah, like back in the, not so much these days, but back in the day, like Jay-Z and Kanye West, like for that genre of music, were head and shoulders above anybody. I mean, I know he's gone a bit weird now, Kanye West, and he's not really doing much on the music front. But when he was in his prime, say with Jay-Z, they were so good at what they did. So good at what they did. And Rihanna's not got a bad voice either, to be fair. So, but there was other ones as well, like with Jay-Z. Earlier on, when I was before I came on here, when I was making my tea, I had the music on, and again, just trying to get myself like in the. I just wanted to feel like energetic. I didn't want to come on. I mean, I've been really busy at work today, so I didn't want to come on and be really lethargic. So again, I put music on and just wanted to get myself like feeling upbeat. And Jay-Z came on again, but it was a different song. It was 99 Problems. But again, that's a song that if I'm ever on the treadmill, and I don't go on the treadmill because I can't stand it. If I'm ever on the bike in the gym and that comes on, I'm getting an extra 10, 15% every time. Every single time it comes on, because it just raises my energy again. And that's what I like out of a song, something that just makes me feel like that. But yeah, like I say, back in the day, in the prime, like Jay-Z and Kanye West were head and shoulders above anybody in that genre for me. They were really, really good.
Yeah. So how old would you be around that time when all that sort of stuff came out?
Well, this is the concern that I had, Graham, when I was picking these songs out, because I'm a lot younger than you see. So I didn't know if you'd be able to like relate to a lot of them. But, but no, I'm 38 now.
Right.
It's because like I grew up in the 90s. So like the 90s was a massive, massive era for music. Whether you liked indie, dance, like I can't think of a better era for any of those two styles of music, indie or dance, than the 90s. Like the bands that you had about in the 90s, like Oasis and Blur and Verve and all in the prime. And then from a like I say, dance music aspect, it was unbelievable in the 90s. Unbelievable.
I was in my 20s. I was in my 20s in the 90s. You can imagine.
But yeah, so I'm 38 now, so probably like early 20s when that come out, something like that, early to mid 20s, something like that.
So see if we go even further back for you. You're 38. So I've got a related question here. Two questions, and it kicks off related to your song. So Run This Town. Tell me about the town that you grew up in as a boy, and in fact, tell me that first, because it's a different question. But yeah.
Well, I'm from Barnsley, so I was a bit worried actually that like I'm from Barnsley, you're from Scotland. I genuinely thought it might have been a good idea to have subtitles on this tonight, because half the people watching you probably can't tell what we're fucking saying. But yeah, I'm from Barnsley, which is like a really working class area, which I love. I love that it's like that. And there's areas that are rough. Do you know what I mean? It's not the prettiest place to grow up in. But no, I love it. I've always how the people are. It's like everybody will always look out for you. Always, they always look out for their own. And I've always liked that aspect of it. But I've always been from this area. I've lived in different villages, but I've always liked being from the Barnsley area all my life. But yeah, it was quite rough when I grew up. Quite rough.
Yeah. You lived in a sort of rough area.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And what was that like at school, for example?
I don't know, because you don't really know any different, do you? So like you could maybe look back on it now and think that was a bit ropey, but at the time it's like you don't. That's all you know, isn't it? So it's like that's normal to you. But no, I loved it. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't look back on any of like my younger years and wish that I'd had it different. I'm a firm believer anyway that like I do believe that things happen for a reason. I do. Like certain things that have happened in my life, I look back on it and think that's just weird. Like even the house that I live in now, how I came to live in this house is just. I'm convinced that things do happen for a reason, because this village that I now live in, I didn't even know it existed before I bought this house.
Oh, really?
I'm still like, it's still in the Barnsley area, but it was weird. I was meant to be buying another house in the village that my son still goes to school in, and the one that I've grew up in since I was younger. And it was dragging on for ages and ages and ages and ages. Literally about a year and a half it was dragging on for. It was a new build. And in the end, it ended up falling through. And then you know how Facebook's basically listening, like your phone and everything is listening to every conversation that you have, which still freaks me out to this day. But it does. It could, like you can have a conversation about something. There's probably something we're going to discuss tonight, and then I'll go on my phone later, and it'll come up as an advert on Facebook.
No,
but that happened with this housing estate where I bought this house. And I just looked at it and thought, oh, no, those look really nice. Where's that? And it came up with the name of the village. I thought, oh, I've not heard of that, but I know where it is. So then I came to have a look and I liked it. And then I went to see the show house. And then in the end, I ended up living here. And that's a classic example of for me that like everything happens for a reason. Because prior to that, I didn't even know that this village existed. And now I live in it and I love it. And I'm glad that the other house fell through, because this one's miles nicer and it's a better area for someone to live in. So yeah, I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. But yeah, I've got no, going back to my childhood, I've got no, it wasn't always the best time for different varying reasons when I was younger, but I wouldn't change anything. Anything that's happened in my life, I won't change it, because even when bad things happen, you still learn lessons from them. And sometimes I think like, you'll probably get this as well. So like the part of the group that we're part of, for example, I know that I could go around every single person in that group and they've had some bad shit happen to them at some point in their life. I know I could. And that's probably why they've ended up in that group in the first place. So I see that as a positive because I think, well, if that thing hadn't have happened, you won't be where you are now. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes you've got to be careful what you wish for, because if you ask for this nice, steady little life where you just keep rolling along and nothing bad really happens, well, that's all right. But again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier on about the coaching. It's you run the risk of it being a little bit boring. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes you need things to happen, bad things to happen, because then if you learn from it and everything, it can actually make you grow and make your life further down the line better, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've got to own it though, right? And I think that's.
Oh yeah, there's two ways of dealing with it, because you can, when you do have struggle in your life, it is vitally important that you deal with it in the right way, because some people will use it as an excuse as to why their life then goes on to be shit and they never have any joy like 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the line. And that's, you've got to be careful. If you use it in the right way, if you use it as a driver to go on and have a better life because of it. But sometimes you can use it as a bit of, and again, I don't want to trigger anybody, but sometimes I think people do, it's a bit of an excuse. So that every time they do fail at something moving forward, or they don't achieve the goals or the targets they're going for, they've always got that to fall back on. So it's not their fault, it's that's fault. And it's like, no, it's not, because that might have happened, but how you now choose to deal with it moving forward is your choice. That's your decision. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to be careful how you view it. But some of the most happy, successful people that I know have all had really bad shit happen to them at some point in their life. But like we said, it's how they've gone on to then use that as a drive to move forward and to make improvements in their life.
Yeah, absolutely. So like back in the day, I always like this one. Who was your hero as a kid?
Who was my hero as a kid? You know something? I don't really think I had one. I don't think I had anybody that like really, really stands out as like, oh, I want to be like that person. Right. I don't, honestly, and that's not me dodging the question. I don't think I ever had one. Because I have thought about this before. I don't.
Did you have like a dream job, or was there something that you aspired to? Oh, I'd love to do that when you were younger.
See, I think the reason why I've turned out like I have now is because I spent a lot of my younger days convinced that I couldn't or wouldn't be able to do a lot of things. So a lot of things that I'm choosing to do with my life now, I'm doing so because I spent a lot of time convinced that I wouldn't be able to do it. So there's places that I've been in the world that at one point in my life when I was younger, I was convinced I'd never go to. There's things that I'm doing like Ben Nevis and things like that, that at those points in my life with how my life was and the struggles that I had and everything. And I was convinced I'd never be able to. Look at other people doing it, and it actually used to make me sad, like thinking I'll never be able to do that. I'll never be able to do it ever. I'll never be able to go there. I'll never be able to do this and that. And I think that's, again, this is a perfect example of what we've just been talking about. If I hadn't felt like that in the past, maybe I wouldn't be doing everything that I'm doing now. Maybe I wouldn't be so passionate about helping other people. Maybe I wouldn't be climbing mountains in 4 foot of snow with you. I wouldn't be doing things like that if I'd not been in that position when I was younger. So I don't necessarily think that I had anybody that I looked up to and that I wanted to be like. I just, I was in a far different place than what I am now. I'm in a lot better place now than what I was. But I spent a lot of time. A lot of my younger days I spent unhappy. I suffer with depression and anxiety from quite a young age, like from being a child, which I know that sounds sad because no child should have to suffer from things like that. It's bad enough when adults do, but I suffered with things like that from a very young age. So
what do you think? Have you an idea where that came from?
Oh, I know exactly where it came from. I know exactly where it came from and what caused it. I didn't have the best. I didn't have the best childhood. I didn't have the best upbringing. So I've never been in doubt as to where it's come from. But I don't know. I think when you're a child, you can't really see how you're going to get out of it. Do you know what I mean? It's like now, like I say, I'm an adult. I've got a bit more life experience. I'm fortunate enough that I can reach out, and I've worked with numerous different people and coaches and joined different programs. So I'm in a lot better position now to be able to take action and to do something about it. But yeah, when I was a child and like in my teens and things like that, it's like, yeah, there was times when I was utterly convinced that I won't be doing any of the shit that I'm doing now. But again, that's the positive of it, because now I am, and I'm even more determined to do it, knowing how I used to feel. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like I'm determined to prove my old self wrong, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? It's
absolutely.
Go out and show exactly what you can do, because we put all these limits on ourselves for various different reasons. Like I say, it might be down to something that has happened in his life previously, or it might just be his own thoughts, his own self-limiting beliefs. But we convince ourselves that we can't do this and we can't do that, and 99% of the time it's always bullshit. Because whatever it is you're wanting to do, you always need to remember there's plenty of people already doing it. Whatever it is, plenty of people already doing it. Yeah. So why can't you? They've not got anything you've not got.
Yeah. So how would like back then in your teens and sort of 20s, that sort of mindset that you had at the time, how did that sort of manifest and look in your life? What was sort of?
Yeah, it was bad. It could have got a lot worse, to be honest. I was actually having this conversation the other day, but yeah, I've had problems with drink in the past. I've had problems with drugs. I've had problems with gambling. I've got quite an addictive personality, so that didn't help. Obviously, with any of those things, you know what I mean? Pick whichever one. It's like if you're that way inclined, none of them things are going to end up well. So yeah, I've had a lot of struggles over the years with things like that, and I don't know. I always feel as though I'm quite a sensible person. I think I'm quite intelligent, and I just think it got to a stage where, and again, this is probably something that you'll be able to relate to as well, but I think it kind of got to the stage where it's like, oh, all right, if this carries on, it's not going to fucking end well. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I was very aware for a long time, like what damage I was doing by having a problem like with drinking too much and with taking drugs and things like that. I was aware, I'm not stupid, but it kind of got to a stage where it's like, no, this is not just a problem anymore. This is going to get like serious if you don't get a handle on it. So yeah, it's one thing that I've often mentioned when I am talking about coaching, and that I think for you to make real change, you've got to reach that moment where fuck this.
Yeah. What was that moment for you?
I've had enough. There's two things I think. I talked about this the other day in another podcast. So the first one was my son. So it was him getting to an age where he could start and tell what I was doing, if that makes sense. So I smoked for 20 years. And when he was like, I never smoked in the house or anything like that, ever. Whether I had kids, didn't have kids, I always went outside and everything. But if I was going outside for a cigarette when he was 1, he doesn't know what I'm doing. But he was getting to the stage where, all right, so if I'm doing that now, he knows why I'm going outside. So he's going to know that I'm smoking. Same as like if I was out of shape. So as you know, like going back 3.5 years, I was like 19 stone 2.
Yeah.
We're getting to the stage now where he can see that and he understands that I'm out of shape. Same as if I'm unhappy, he's going to start and feed off that. So I was very, very aware that he was getting to the age now that he understands everything that's happening. So I was very mindful of the fact that I was nowhere near the role model that I need to be for him as his dad. So that was the main driver. And then the other one was just the fear of having regrets. I see so many people these days that are in relationships that they just don't want to be in. They're in jobs that they can't stand. I just didn't want to be one of them people that gets to a certain age and it's too late to sort all that shit out. It's like, because if we leave it too long, we're going to get to the stage where it's like, well, what's the point in leaving my fucking job now? Do you know when you're 55 or something? Well, I may as well stay here now. May as well stick it out. I've only got a few more years. And then I didn't want to do that. It scared me so much because I know it's a cliche, and I hate that term cliche, because anything that's dubbed as a cliche just gets like, people don't actually take any notice of it. But there's no truer statement than you only live once. You do. You do you know what I mean? It's like people don't take that anywhere near seriously enough. You only live once. We're only getting one go at this. You can't fuck it up and then go, well, let me go back 20 years and I'll try and do it better this time. It's like, no, you get one go at it. And I've always been very mindful of that. So it scared me. It scared me to think that, like, if I'm in this position 15 years from now, that's it. I'm not getting another crack at it. So, yeah, they were the two things. That was one, and my son was the other one.
Yeah. Do you know what analogy I heard? That second point that you made there. I'm just, to keep me focused, I'm on the Can't Hurt Me David Goggins audiobook at the moment. And that analogy that he uses of when it's all over, and when you have to go up to the pearly gates, you're gonna have to sit there with God, and he's gonna wheak this list out, and he's gonna read you the list of the life that you were supposed to lead, and you're going to have to be 100% accountable for explaining to him why you didn't do this, or this. So, and he kind of, the way in which he puts it is exactly like you've said. I think that there are so many people in life that just accept that, I'm happy with this, without conceiving, could I give it a little bit more? That's, for me, that's the boxing analogy.
I just find it so sad. And like I say, I'm not saying it is a hypocrite, because I live like this for a long time as well. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not me digging other people out. But I do find it so sad that, like, so many people are doing that, are willing to stay in a relationship that they don't want to be in, just because they find it easier than the alternative of maybe having to be on their own for a bit. Oh, well, that's scary. I don't want to be on my own for a bit. What? So you'd rather spend the rest of your life in a relationship you don't want to be in? Same as with a job. Oh, yeah, but I'm settled here. Yeah, but you fucking hate it. You fucking hate it. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you might be settled, but you fucking hate it.
Yeah.
I just find, I do. Like, sad's the best word that I can. I do genuinely find it sad that so many people are willing to kind of put up with that life, because that's what you do. And it's not living, is it? It's existing when you're doing that. You're not living. Yeah. It's existing. I fucking love him, by the way, though, Goggins. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand a lot of people look at him and think he's mental, and they're probably, to a certain extent, they're probably right, because he is a little bit. But a lot of what he says, you can't argue with it. No. You can't argue with it. Do you know what I mean? It's like when he talks about people like living at only like it's a push 40% of the time, he's bang on. Yeah. He's absolutely bang on. And I'm a firm believer of that. Like, when people truly do try and push themselves, they'll be very surprised at how much they're actually capable of.
Yeah.
The rest is just all that. It's just that voice in your head that's telling you that you can't do it. But if you actually push past that, same as when we were talking about challenges and Nevis and things like that, your mind will give up way before your body will. Way before. Your mind will tell you that you can't do it way before your legs back in or anything else.
So tell me then, we're talking about him now. Tell me about, because I've got it next weekend. You've already done the Goggins challenge. How was it? What was the hardest thing for you about it?
It was.
Shall I clarify for everybody that the Goggins challenge, what we're talking about here, it's a challenge that you have to run or walk 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. So in essence, you have to do 48 miles in 48 hours. So it's almost 2 marathons in 2 days. It's not a kick in the pants off, right?
How are you doing it? Are you doing it walking in a vest then, or how are you running it? Or
I'm planning on running it to the point that my knees. See, I can't even use that excuse now. I'm planning on running it for as much as I can.
That's why I chose to do it walking in a 20k vest, because And again, like we just talked about, I knew my body would be able to get through that. Whereas with all the will in the world, I know how much I get injured when I run. I was trying to get in shape for a 10K last year, and every time I ran, it's like something else went wrong. If it wasn't my hip flex, it was my knee, and what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to take the challenge on and physically like not be able to complete it. Whereas I knew if I did it walking in a 20K vest, which by the way is no piece of piss because is, do you know what I mean? That is heavy. But I knew like physically I'd be able to get through it. And the reason why I took the challenge on is because I love ones that challenge you both physically and mentally. And I took the Goggins on more from a mental aspect. So like I say, I knew it wouldn't be easy physically, but I also knew that I'd be able to cope with it. Do you know what I mean? I knew that I would be able to do it from a physical point of view, even though it'd be hard. But it was the mental aspect. And when you say what was the hardest part, it was the early hour ones between the Saturday and the Sunday. So at that point,
right,
I wasn't close enough to the end to be able to say to myself, come on, you've only got a couple. I still had after this particular one that I'm thinking about, is about 4 a.m, Sunday morning. I still had like 3 walks left after that. So I wasn't kind of close enough to the end to think, come on, just 1 more, just 2 more. It was like, no, there's fucking another 3 more after this. And it was at that point where like your body knows that you should be asleep.
Yeah.
You're fucking starving. You're so tired. And the thing is as well, you're in that place where it's just you and your own thoughts. Yeah. So like early hours of the morning, there was nobody else even like out on the street or anything. It was just me, that vest, and my own thoughts. And it was a lonely place to be at times, like in that particular period. I felt better again when I got round to the next one, when it was 8 o'clock in the morning, because then it was light again, and then I was a bit closer to the finish. So I had a lot more of a spring in my step at that point. But that early hours one between the Saturday and the Sunday, that was hard. Because that was a lonely place to be at that point when you've only got your own thoughts to. Yeah, it was hard. That really, really hard.
So how did you? What did you? What did you say?
One of the things that I really enjoyed, I did a Facebook Live on every walk, on every one. One because I wanted to give inspiration to people that I was, you know what I mean, let them see that I was doing the challenge, and because that's one thing as well. I do believe that people don't do, and this again is something that I used to be guilty of, but I do believe that a lot of people don't do enough to push themselves or don't do enough things that they enjoy. Because as hard as it was, I enjoyed doing that. I enjoyed it. So I wanted to like kind of inspire people, but also it was good because it kept me occupied. So if I did a live for about 15 minutes, that's like 15 minutes of that walk where I'm not thinking about how much my feet are hurting, or I'm not thinking about how much my shoulders are killing from the vest. Do you know what I mean? For that 15, 20 minutes when I'm doing that live video, it kept me occupied. So that was one thing that I was really glad that I did. But I was kind of interested to see how far I'd come, basically, because in the past, one of the things. So when I did suffer from anxiety and things like that, one of the things that used to make it 10 times worse was sleep deprivation. So. Like when I used to go, you're probably all tied in as well, because like when I was going out and drinking or taking drugs or whatever, I'd always have less sleep then as well. And all those things would just amplify the anxiety and just make it 10 times worse. So I was interested to see like, right, well, the very most sleep I'm going to get doing this Goggins in any one go is an hour and a half maximum, because there's 4 hours between each walk. Each walk's taking me an hour and 15 minutes. So then when I've gone back, I've got to have something to eat. So at the very most, I'm going to have an hour and a half in any one particular time slot. So that's really going to test me, like from a sleep deprivation point of view. So I was just interested to see how am I going to deal with that? How far have I come?
You're not selling it to me now. You know that I've gone out and got sponsorship for it now, and I can't. There's no backing out.
You know as well as I do, mate. Once you put it out there and you've told people that you're going to do it, you'll do it, won't you? I'm actually genuinely, because I said after I finished it, I'll never fucking do that again, because it was a lot harder than what in my head. It was a lot harder than what I'd envisaged. But obviously, once everything's wore off and you've caught up on your sleep and you've took the vest off, you've calmed down a bit, I would actually do it again. And I was going to do it again with you guys. I was going to. The only reason I'm not is because I've managed to get tickets for the UFC in London on the Saturday. And because I've already done it, I'd rather go to the UFC rather than do it again, if that makes sense. If I'd never done it, I'd probably still do it with you. But the fact that I've already done it, I want to go to the UFC in London, so that's why I'm not. But no, it's good, mate. And I think the harder the challenge, the better you feel after you've done it.
Yeah. And why? So you've kind of touched on it, and for you, you know, the opportunity to push yourself and to inspire other people. What do you think is so important about challenging yourself and continuing to challenge yourself? Not just, I did that one, but continuing to push yourself all the time.
Because again, like I say, we literally only do get one go at it, so why not make the most of it? Do you know what I mean? It's as simple as that. It's like, you're only going to get one go. Why not just make the most of it? And like I say, every time we're convincing ourselves that we can't do these things, whatever it is, I'm not just talking about climbing mountains. Like I said, like when we're talking about other stuff, like staying in jobs that we hate, or staying in relationships that we hate. Like, we've got to understand that we're only going to get one go. So let's just make the most of it. So don't sit there convincing yourself, this job is shit, but I can't go for that one that I really want to do because of this, or because of that, or because of the other. Because 9 times out of 10, all those reasons that you're using, it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Because there's always, the same as I said earlier on, whatever it is you want to do, there's numerous people already doing it. They've not got anything that you've not got. And again, you might sit there convincing yourself that they have, but they haven't. All they've done is they've gone off their arse and they've given it a go. That's the only difference. That's it. And that's how I always feel like when I go into these different challenges and everything. So, for example, when we did Nevis, I go into every one like that and think, none of the other people that's doing it's got anything that I've not got. So if they're happy to do it, and do you know what I mean? They're not worried about doing it. Why should I be? Or I'll always relate back to somebody that I know that's done it and go, well, and he's done it numerous times, so why can't I do it? That's the attitude that I take with it. If I know somebody that's done it, I can do it. Simple.
Too right.
Obviously, unless it was like, I'm not talking like if you're going to the extreme, like I can't say, oh, well, I like football, so I can be a Premier League footballer. I'm not being stupid like that, but within reason, it's like if I know somebody else has done it or is doing it, this is a perfect example with the coaching. I could quite easily talk myself out of doing that because I'm not experienced, I've not done it before. I could quite easily talk myself out of it and say that I'm not going to do it. Quite easily. But instead, I look at it and think, I know other people that's doing it, that's doing a good job at it. Why can that not be me? Why can I not replicate what they're doing?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Shall we move on to your next song?
Yeah, so this is the only one. So it's Avicii.
Yeah, Waiting for Love.
I actually changed the song. And the reason why I changed the song is because this is the only one of the 5 that is in there because of the lyrics. And I think it's that attachment as well when it comes to the mental health aspect of it. Because obviously he committed suicide at a young age. I found it really, really, really sad when I heard about it. And I've not really taken that much notice of him up to that point. I wasn't like an avid fan of his. But I was very aware that he was really, really talented and really good at what he did. Like, really good. He was a really good producer, really successful DJ, like one of the biggest in the world. And I just found it really sad that he was like, I don't know exactly how old he was, but I'm sure he was only like 20 odd years old.
Was he not one of the 2027 club, I think, wasn't he?
That's what I mean, 27 years old. So again, I could probably like relate to a lot of it. That's probably why it touched me as much as it did, because I could probably relate to a lot of it. But then I started taking more notice in his songs when they were coming on, because instantly when I realised it was him, I'd start thinking about like what had happened and everything. And then I started listening to the lyrics of his songs. And the reason why I picked this one like in particular is because when you listen to the lyrics of the song, you can almost I can almost tell how he was feeling and what position he was in when he was saying what he was saying, if that makes sense. Do you know, knowing what he then went on to do, it's like you could almost hear the struggle that he was having and what caused him to end up where he eventually ended up. So yeah, I've always listened to his songs totally differently ever since like that sadly happened to him. And yeah, just like I say, it's probably from a personal experience as well that it probably touches.
Were things ever that bad for you? Did you ever get to the point where you were like having those thoughts, or kind of, you know, that down that you were?
I was bad. I've never attempted anything like that. But I had times when it was bad, really, really, really bad. I suppose the worst thing was like when you reach that stage where you're convinced there's no way out. That's the scariest bit. You know, when you literally can't see like a way out, and it's like fucking hell. It's like it's one thing to feel like that and feel that low and feel that bad. But when you start and think that, well, this is it, I'm going to feel like this forever because there's no way out of it, that's fucking scary. Do you know what I mean? That is, and I did feel like that at times. So yeah, I felt really, really low, really scared at certain points. But no, I never actually got to that. I never got to that level where I'd actually anything like that.
It's a very strange one to kind of look back on and kind of think, you know, what if, you know, the paths that we take and the things that could have happened. I think when you look at, again, some of the people that are no longer with us, and I think, was it, I don't know if it was Alex or somebody that I heard, not the numbers, but statistically, with everything going on in the world just now, and yet still there are way more people who have committed suicide than have ever died at the cost of war.
Alex that said that, yeah. How bad is that?
Yeah, it's terrible to think that there's that many people, and yet somehow it's not the state of general mental health across the world is not really seen as a crisis. What needs to happen for things to be looked at a bit differently? And I think it's why we do what we do, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
So you mentioned about that kind of the two things that sort of changed your like, you've got to do something, and I've got to change what's happening in my life and the way that I'm living my life at the moment. What was the sort of the kind of path? What was the action that you took, and kind of then what that sort of led to?
I tried numerous different avenues. So initially I went through like the norm. I've always been adamant. Again, this is just personal preference, so this is not me like having a go at anybody that's otherwise like inclined. But I was always very adamant that no matter how bad I felt, how low I got, I'd never take any form of medication for it. Because how I viewed that in my head is, the minute I do that, I've lost control then. It's not me then that's like sorting it out. So I always had it in my head, if I do that, so let's say I don't know, let's say I took antidepressants for a year and I felt a lot better. In my head, it was always, yeah, but I'm only better because of them. So what happens when I stop taking them? And that never sat well with me. I couldn't. So, like I say, I felt bad at sometimes, really, really bad, but I never went down that route. So I went down the normal channel. I went to see my doctor and things like that. But I always got the feeling that it was just like, you was just the 10th person that had walked in that day and they were just trotting the same thing out to you as what they'd done to the others. I never got any benefit from it. But then importantly, I didn't just leave it there. I didn't just go, right, well, that's not worked, so I'll just have to put up with it. It's like, no, what else do I need to do then? So I ended up like, I went and saw somebody privately, and that was a lot better. It felt a lot more personal. And I think the first thing was just like the initial relief that you get just by speaking to someone. You know, and it not being all in your own head anymore and you fighting with your own thoughts. Like just getting it out there initially makes you feel better. But then this is another thing that I'm really big on. So like I do totally, as I've just said, I do see the benefits of people talking, and I do think it's important for people to understand that it's okay to talk. And that's a message that's pushed by a lot of different charities and organisations, and I fully get it.
Yeah.
However, on the back of that, there then needs to come some action, because you can't just talk your troubles away.
Nope.
That's the fact. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it is good to talk. People should be encouraged to talk. I totally agree with it. But there's got to be the understanding that on the back of that then has to come some action. Things have to change. Behaviours have to change.
Yeah.
You can't just talk your troubles away. And that's, like I say, sometimes I think that message gets pushed a bit too much with nothing following it up. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I think sometimes it could encourage people to talk, but then when they do and they don't instantly feel better, it's like, well, that was a waste of time. I'm still struggling with this, or I'm still struggling with that. Do you know what I mean? But I've talked. It's like there needs to be the understanding that it's a good starting point, but that's all it is. It's a starting point. The hard work's still to come after, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So what did you do after you?
I did various different people, saw people privately, and I kind of like, when I got into personal development eventually, which was the beginning of last year, so January last year, I think I was a different place to what a lot of people normally are. So I think a lot of people normally reach out to some kind of coach or some kind of program when they are at the lowest. Whereas for me, it was kind of different. I'd already got a handle by this point on a lot of issues that I'd had in the past, and it took me years, like literally years, to get a handle on it. It wasn't like overnight by any stretch of the imagination. But I finally got to the stage where I got a handle on the anxiety and the depression and things like that. But that's what pushed me into personal development, because once I'd done all that, I felt okay.
How did you get a handle on that?
Just by persistence, just by, like I say, I spent a lot of time like seeing somebody privately who, like I say, it felt personal. It felt a lot better than when I went through the normal route. So I kept going. I kept showing up constantly. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, this is the only way I'm going to get sorted. So it might take time, but I need to keep showing up and showing up and showing up. So I kept doing it, and I was doing it on and off for a couple of years. But like I say, bit by bit, I started to learn different techniques, change some of my behaviours, be more mindful about what I was doing, who I was surrounding myself with, my relationship with alcohol, things like that. And there had to be a lot of honesty. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what am I doing at the minute that's holding me back from getting a handle on this? Do you know what I mean? I can't use other people or other circumstances as the reason all the time if there's things that I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? If I'm pouring 8 pints down my neck every Friday, is that helping? Is that helping with my anxiety? Do you know what I mean? There had to be a lot of honesty with it, and I had to look at what I was doing. But bit by bit, I started to slowly get a handle on it. So like I said, when I got to the personal development point of view, I wasn't at the stage that I think a lot of people are when they join up to these programs, and that way it's like they're probably near the worst, and it's like they need some help to dig themselves out of the hole. With me, it was more, I've got a handle on this now, and I feel okay. But then I thought, I don't want to feel okay. Okay, it's fucking boring. I suppose I almost felt as though, hold on a minute, so I felt like shit for years, and I finally got a handle on it, and this is how I feel, just okay. It's like, no, I don't want that. There's got to be something more than this. Do you know what I mean? There's got to be something more. And that's when I stumbled across Paul's video. Again, probably because my phone was listening to my conversations that I was having. But yeah, I stumbled across that video, and instantly, when I saw his video, I knew that that's what was missing. I knew. It wasn't even a case of like, I'll dip my toe in and see how I get on for a month. I knew when I started reading up about it and how the plan worked and everything, it's like, this is what I need. And I've never looked back since. I just knew that that was the missing piece that like to get me from being okay to where I want to be.
Yeah. Do you think that do you think that getting a taste of success and kind of when you stop and you take that time to look back and reflect on how far you've come, you get a bit of a taste for it, you become a little bit addicted to, just continuing to push yourself?
Yeah. I had this conversation after I did like the Goggins, because I can't remember who it was with me. It might have been with my girlfriend. But I said, like, the scary thing is like, because I did a skydive last year as well, because I'm petrified of heights, and that's one thing that I wanted to do again, get out of my comfort zone. And one of them things, again, if you would have said to me back in my teens or when I was a kid, you'll jump out of a plane one day at 15,000 feet, I'd have gone, fuck off. Absolutely no chance. I mean, honestly, I would have, because I was so convinced that I'd never do things like that. But I had the conversation, like I say, I think it was with my girlfriend, but I said, the dangerous thing is like, where does it end? Because like once you've jumped out of a plane, it's almost like you're not going to want to do things that are less exciting than that, because it's not going to push you as much. But it's like, how far can you keep pushing things? Do you know what I mean? It's like, have I peaked too soon by doing that? Like,
have you done a bungee jump?
That's the one. That's like the holy grail for me. That is the one that like absolutely petrifies me. A million times more than a skydive. A million times more.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like I've completed it. When I do a bungee jump, that's it. That'll be like the last one that I do. Like after I've done all the other shit, that'll be the last one, and then it's like, that's it, I'm done, I'm finished.
I've got some bad news for you, mate. That's bollocks, because you know it too. You know it too, because you'll do it and you'll get the adrenaline rush that you're going to get from it. If you don't actually, although you'll be petrified, when you get down and you kind of like look back up there, you'll be like, I want to go back up now.
Honestly, mate, I can't put into words like how much that scares me. Yeah. Seriously, like, don't get me wrong, I was nervous for the skydive, and I've done other things that have like scared me from a height perspective, but that absolutely, like, because the thing is with that, I mean, even when you do the skydive, you've got somebody strapped to you, and basically, even if you don't want to go out at that point, you've got no choice because he's throwing you out, so you've not got to say anything. But with the bungee jump, it's like, it's not just how high you are, it's you've literally got to have the balls, massive balls, to just throw yourself head first straight off. And it's like, honestly, it makes me sweat just thinking about it. But I will do one day. I will do one day. I know I will.
Yeah. I'll remember that. I'll play you this little bit. I'll play you this section back.
No, mate, as soon as you put it out there, that's it. It's got to be done.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Yeah. And then you can go to Paradise, which is ironically just a very cheesy segue into your next song. Yes. By Coldplay.
Yeah, we had a conversation before we came on earlier on about like how some bands or some acts, like just like when you see them live, it's just like fucking hell. And I can remember once, I think it was the Brit Awards. Again, I was only young, as years ago. I'm sure I was only in my teens, and I saw Coldplay on it, and he performed Clocks on the piano, and it was fucking unbelievable. I couldn't take my eyes off it. It was unbelievable. Just the whole performance and and to be honest, I've never seen them live, but every time I've seen clips from it, I just look at it and think, fucking, what an absolute spectacle that looks. Do you know what I mean? Just imagining being there, they're just one of them bands that, yeah, every single time that they put a show on, or I've seen them on tour or whatever, I just think, well, how good must it be to be there? But yeah, again, like that particular song, it's not, again, I don't take any notice of real notice of the words. It's just how it makes me feel when I hear it, when it comes on, and the music. It's just how it makes me feel every single time it comes on. I actually, I went to a wedding a few years back abroad. One of my friends and the owner of the company that I work for, he got married in Italy, and he asked us all to pick a song. So we could all like just pick a song, and he made a playlist of them for like the night, which I thought was a really good idea, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that's the song that I picked for that, because I just thought it was good for that particular setting and for that event. And even when it came on, like when it came on that night through Pat, I thought, yeah, I've made a really good choice there because it just fitted really well. But yeah, it's weird. It's every time I hear a song, it's just how it makes me feel when I hear it. And every time I hear that song, I'll turn it up every single time. But I do. One of my things is, obviously it's still going at the minute, but eventually when they start to wind down, I've got a feeling they'll end up having a residency in Vegas. And that's on my bucket list. I want to go and watch Coldplay in Vegas when that day inevitably comes.
I think you might be right with a band like that. Yeah. I bet Robbie Williams has done it, hasn't he?
There's loads of they've had loads of really, really big stars like do Vegas. Kind of once they get to the back end of their career, they've had loads of it, but I'm convinced that Coldplay will end up doing it. And I love Vegas, so it's just like combining two things that it's an excuse to go to Vegas. But yeah, I'd love to see. See, I've never been a massive fan of like going to actual gigs. So I enjoy music, I enjoy listening to music, but I've never been bothered about going to gigs. But Coldplay are one of the only bands that I would actually go and watch, just because, like I say, every time I've seen clips of them, it's just an absolute spectacle every single time.
All right, so here's one for you. If you get to go and see Coldplay in Vegas, and you could tie that in with a dream boxing match at like Caesar's Palace, because I know you're into your boxing, what matchup would you go and see like the night after or the night before Coldplay?
Well, I have actually been to watch boxing a few times in Vegas.
Have you?
Yeah, I went to watch Canelo against Golovkin, the first one, because that was on my birthday weekend. That was unbelievable. And then I watched Canelo again a couple of years back. I've been to watch the UFC in Vegas as well. I went to watch Conor McGregor against Khabib in Vegas. That was unbelievable. That was unbelievable.
And you got tickets to it?
Yeah. But if it was now, I've just got tickets for Tyson Fury against Dillian Whyte.
Yeah.
And I've done that because I've really gone off boxing over the last few years, and I've gone more over to UFC, and it's just I can't deal with going back to that fight that I watched in Vegas. That was like the beginning of the end for me, because Golovkin just got robbed basically, and it's so corrupt. I can't remember who it was for last week or the week before, and that was bent as well.
Josh Taylor and Jack.
It's like I can't deal with that. I can't. It's so wrong. The only real person that I'm bothered about these days now is Tyson Fury. I'll always watch Tyson Fury. I love him. And I've got tickets for that purely because I think he's only going to have, at the most, 3 fights left before he retires. So my ideal scenario would be to watch him in Vegas, where he's had the vast majority of his last God knows how many fights. They've all been in Vegas, but this one is at Wembley. But I thought, if I don't go and see him in this, I might not get to see him at all before he packs in. But if I could have a choice, so we're going to watch Coldplay on the Friday, it'd be Tyson Fury against probably Usyk. And I wouldn't say Joshua, because I think he'd smash Joshua to bits quite easily. I think Usyk could give him a better fight. I still think Fury would win, but I think Usyk could give him a better fight than Joshua would. So that's what I'd probably say. Fury against Usyk.
Yeah. Who would you put in the sort of like top 5, top 10 as having the best chance of having even a remote shot against Fury outside of Usyk? Any of them?
Not really. I just think he's too good technically. I mean, he moves like a middleweight.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be able to move like he does, like being that size, and it's weird. He's a freak of nature. But I still don't think he gets the credit he deserves now. He gets a lot more than what he used to, but I still don't think people realise just how good he is, like technically. But I don't think there's anybody really that. I think Usyk's too small, far too small. I think Usyk's a boxer, but he's not big enough to. He's not big enough to.
I don't think. Although that said, I think most pundits said that before he went in against Joshua, right?
Yeah, no, he's very, very good, Usyk. I think he's too small to be able to beat Fury. But I think he's got better chance than Joshua.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, I agree. It's an interesting division, though. I'm kind of quite curious about the whole Dillian Whyte situation and kind of him being really quiet, and you've not seen him through any of that. I think that you'll get the best Dillian Whyte against Fury, and I actually think it will be a decent fight.
I do. And to be fair, doesn't matter how much you rate Fury or whatever. It's like when you're that big, like they are.
Yeah.
Only takes one. And you get really clean out. So it's like I'm not saying that Dillian Whyte's not got a chance to beat him. Of course he has, but
he's got to land it. He's got to land that one.
It's not that, but you've got to make it count as well, because you've seen what Wilder did to him, and he still gets up. So do you know what I mean? You've got to hit it well for him to stay down, because it takes some pinning down. But I'm not saying Dillian Whyte's not got a chance. He definitely has, but I won't back against Fury.
Yeah, no, I agree. Right, next song. Do you know what? I'm looking at all the questions that I had written down, and actually, you've kind of answered. You've answered the ones that I've not asked you anyway. But I want to move on to Florence and the Machine and Spectrum.
Yeah,
the Calvin Harris remix.
It's important, because I'm a big fan of dance music. So like I say, I grew up in the 90s, so it was a massive era for dance music anyway. When I went out, I did a lot of night clubbing when I was younger, and I was banging to like house music. Well, I still am, to be honest, like house music, speed garage. So I've always been a fan of dance music, but this song, like we were talking about this before we came on. For me, she's got an unbelievable voice. And the original version is a good song anyway, purely because of her vocal. She's really, really good. But then I think what Calvin Harris did to it, he didn't change it too much. You know what I mean? So if you listen to them both, you listen to his remix of it, and you listen to the original, there's not that much difference. But I think just her vocal combined with the dance element that he's put in, again, it's a song that it doesn't matter how many times I hear that song, every time it comes on, I'll turn it up immediately, straight away, every time.
Yeah. So you like dance music, you like challenging yourself, you like boxing, but what electrifies you? Do you see what I did there?
Yeah, I did. Very clever. It's not your first podcast, this, is it?
No.
Challenge. Just challenge.
Yeah.
Just pushing yourself. I'm a big believer that, like, again, this is something that Goggins has said. I've heard other people say it as well, but I'm a big believer that you should do at least one thing every day that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Every day. Every single day. So, for example, and again, you're massive on this, as I know, but I get a cold shower every morning, and there'll not come a single point where I look forward to doing that, ever. But as time's gone on, the benefits I get from it are different now. So when I first started doing it, the main benefit I got is once I came out, I felt so alert and awake and like alive and ready for the day, which I still do now. Yeah. But the main benefit that I get from it now is the resilience that it builds in me.
Yeah.
Because every single day, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Every morning, I don't want to do it. I dread it every single morning. It's not one of these things that, like, some days I'm okay with it. So every morning, I dread doing that. But then every morning when I do it, just building that resilience up a little bit more, day by day, by day, by day. And like I said, I'm a big believer that you should push yourself and do at least one thing a day that you don't want to do. But the main thing that pushes me is challenge. And like I said to you before, the bigger the challenge, the better the feeling after. So when we did Ben Nevis, Ben Nevis was a lot harder. Again, same as the Goggins, it was a lot harder than I'd envisaged. Now, that's not me saying that I thought it was going to be easy. I knew it'd be hard, but it was even harder than I thought it'd be. Mainly because Alex gave me a pair of boots that were 3 sizes too small, so that didn't help. But yeah, even so, it was a lot harder than what I'd envisaged it was going to be. But because of that, it was even more enjoyable when we'd done it.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? It was like I was buzzing even more after because it was harder than what I thought it was going to be.
Oh, I absolutely loved it. And I look back, I just think of I almost kind of felt quite euphoric, when we sat down for the meal, and I think,
oh yeah,
most of us had a couple of pints, but there was almost a sort of, and I think part of it was just sheer exhaustion, but there was a nice feeling, and I think talking with everybody and sort of casting your mind back. But it was now that I look back,
genuinely one of the most enjoyable challenges that I've ever done. Ever.
Yeah.
Honestly, I loved it. The people that I was with, that I did it with, and I said this at the time as well, and I'm not just blowing smoke up people's arse, but the biggest thing that I took from it is not just that I did it, but it was seeing you do it, seeing Chris do it, seeing John do it. And I mean that because I was looking at it and thinking, do you know what? If I was in their shoes and I was their age or whatever, I genuinely don't know if I'd be able to fucking do this. Because I'm here now, I'm 38, I'm in decent physical nick, my cardio's all right, and I'm fucking struggling here. Do you know what I mean? I'm really fucking struggling. So for them to be doing it, honestly, it was so inspirational. It really, really was. Like looking at the rest of the lads that were doing it, it really was like properly inspirational.
Us old bastards, you mean?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I mean, I wasn't going to put it like that, but yeah. I was genuinely looking and thinking, if I was 50 years old, I don't fucking know if I'd be doing this. Fucking crazy bastard. It's like, it was genuinely one of the most enjoyable challenges that I took on, without a doubt.
I've been up there 3 times before. Before that was my 4th time up there. I've always gone up in the summer, always. So that was different. See, apart from the boots, what would you say was the toughest aspect of it for you, apart from the fact that your boots were 3 sizes too small?
No, it was bad. It was bad on the way up, but on the way down, because obviously your feet on the way down, your feet are pushing forward. So it's like every single step on the way down, literally from the top to the bottom, was fucking killing me. I don't know. That was the main issue. That was the main part. I didn't really have time to think about anything else because that's all that was consuming my mind on the way down. But I found it tricky. It was tricky when on the way down when there was snow and then it started getting dark and then some of the snow started to turn into ice. It's like fucking hell, this is a bit ropey now. Do you know what I mean? It's like on the way up, it was kind of like the snow was deep, but like your feet were kind of sinking into it. Whereas on the way down, and it was getting a bit icy and a bit dark. It's like fucking hell, I'm going to end up straight over the edge here. But again, that just added to the challenge, and then it added to the sense of achievement when you do eventually then get to the bottom and think, I fucking nailed it. Do you know what I mean? So again, it's like the bigger the challenge, the more enjoyable it is when you then go on to complete it. But no, honestly, mate, I absolutely loved it. Loved it. Yeah. One of the best, most enjoyable experiences that I've ever had. It was really, really good. Yeah.
So before we go on to your last song, and then I've got some quick fire questions for you. Anybody watching is not going to forgive me if I don't ask. We've spent so much time talking about not only the importance of challenging yourself, but why you do it. So what's next for you? What have you got lined up?
I've got a lot this year. So I've just booked the 3 peaks in 24 hours. So Ben Nevis, Scafell, Snowdon. I'm doing that in September. Have you booked that, by the way?
No, I think I'm going to do it next year. Well, there's part of me that says I want to do it next year because I'm not ready, but that probably suggests that I should just get it booked, right?
Correct.
Yeah, you know.
You know what I was to that. But yeah, so I've got that book. I've got a charity trip to Zambia, which I can't wait for, which me and my girlfriend are going on in July.
Right. What does that involve?
Again, it's another classic example of things always happening for a reason. So I went on, obviously Arjuna. I went on
Arjuna Shaya. Yeah.
I went on his meditation weekend last year, which was brilliant, by the way. Stayed over for the full weekend. Really, really enjoyable. And it's weird. I've always had, from a young age, I've always had it as one of my things that I want to do some form of charity work in a foreign country. I've always had the desire to do that from a young age. I've done quite a thing, like when I've done the Goggins and that, I've raised money for charity when I did the skydiving in this country, but I've always wanted to do something in a foreign country. And when I went to that weekend at Arjuna's, there was a woman there that basically organises this trip every year to Zambia. And part of it, they raise money for like animal conservation. But part of it, you also raise money for like one of the local schools in the area, and you get to visit it as well while you're there. And you go like canoeing down the Zambezi River, and it's just basically, it's weird. It's like everything that it's the trip that I've always had in my head that I want to do one day, and then all of a sudden I'm sat in front of the person that organises that trip. Yeah. So it's just like, and again, it was one of them things where I'm a big believer in commit to it, worry about everything else after. So it's like I was very adamant at that point. It's like this is basically what you've said you always want to do. So don't go bottling it now, or don't go saying, but I can't do it for this or I can't do it for that. So I just booked it straight away. I took the details, and then by the middle of the following week, I booked it. It's like, because I could have easily talked myself out of it, because it's like stepping into the unknown, and like it's like no other holiday I've ever been on. Do you know what I mean? It's not like when you lay around the pool in Tenerife. It's like I'm going to be going down the Zambezi River in a canoe and there's fucking crocodiles in it. Do you know what I mean? So it's like there's loads of reasons that I could have used to talk myself out of it, but I knew that this is like I've always wanted to do this, so get it done. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. That's in July. And then just from a personal aspect, as you know, like I've made a big decision to go part-time in my current job as of April, so that I can focus on the new coaching business. So yeah, the rest of this year is just about kicking on with that, making sure I'm giving it my all, which I always will do. Like when I commit to something, I'm really competitive, and I'm really competitive with myself as well. I don't want to like if I say I'm going to do something, I want to do the best I can at it. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to do it half-assed. So yeah, I'm really excited about where I can take that in the next 12 months.
Fantastic. Oh, I love it. I love it. I've been on full screen and not showing you too many of the comments. We've had some folk tuning in to say hello. Some folk that I'll read some of the comments out, that some of that you won't know. We have here we go. Terry Strong says, "Good day from down under, guys. Mad for it." Now it's commonly known as Anchor Song. I'm not sure what that one is. What one's that? That must be one of your tunes he's talking about. I'm not sure which one. Anchor. Mister, look who's been on. Mr. Brock. And this is called the JFDI podcast. JFDI, Delta Mike Lima says, I normally ask people at some point, how do you apply your JFDI? But I'm not going to ask you that because I think you've just answered it. So, I was almost going to ask you a question there, but I'm going to tell you the song. Right Here, Right Now, Fatboy Slim.
This is a classic example of how it makes me feel. So when I was on the Goggins and I was touring my bollocks off, and I was thinking, fucking hell, how much more can I keep doing this for? And then this come on, just straight away, just give me that extra 10%. I really like Fatboy Slim. He's one of them. He's one of them artists that his stuff's so unique. Like when you hear a Fatboy Slim song, you know it's Fatboy Slim. You know, like where some bands like they sound a bit samey, a bit similar to each other. Yeah. With Fatboy Slim, you know it's a Fatboy Slim song. He's very unique, and I think that's a really good skill to be able to have. Do you know what I mean? To be able to create music that sounds like nothing else that you're ever going to hear from anybody else.
Yeah, and the irony is that he does that using other people's songs, cutting them up and splicing.
Yeah. I think super talented. Both from like being a producer and also as a DJ, he's super talented. But yeah, again, it's just like when that comes on, it's just how it makes me feel. And there was numerous times throughout that Goggins where that song would come on and I'd be struggling, and then all of a sudden I'll just get another 10% and think, right, I was like literally talking to myself, saying, right, fucking come on now, come on. All because of that song and just how it's making me feel. I go from feeling knackered and thinking about how much my shoulders are hurting to like geeing myself up and saying, come on now, come on, last fucking one, let's get going. But no, I think he's super talented, really talented. And like I said, I do think that's a very unique skill to have, to be able to create things like that you just know instantly that it's them.
Yeah. And on that song title, what importance do you place on being right here, right now, in every situation that you experience in your life?
It's massive. He's massive. It's just like there's big importance in, like, as you know, I'm not telling you anything you don't know here, but being present in situations. So it's one thing to be in a scenario or to be with somebody, but without trying to like get too deep or anything, are you actually with them? Do you know what I mean? So when you're spending time with your kids,
is your mind there? Or is your mind there?
Are you fully there? Are you fully there with them? Same as when you're with your missus. Are you actually with her and spending time with her? And again, we're all guilty of this. I'm not saying that there's not times when I often have to like check myself and go, well, I've been moaning all day about how busy I am and how I want us to get like sat down and chilled out watching the telly, and I'm sat here on my fucking phone. Do you know what I mean? So it's something that we all have to remind ourselves of. But yeah, I think that's massive. When you start appreciating different things and different experiences a lot more when you make sure that you are fully present in them. So that's
would you believe me if I told you that this is one of the reasons that I love doing this, and when I think about why I started it was because that great saying is, you know, that if God intended us to talk more than we listened, then he would give us 2 mouths and 1 ear. And it's the other way around. And I think in starting this podcast, it's wonderful for me to not talk as much and listen. And I think that for me, it always acts as a reminder as well, to be present in a situation. And when you're, whether it be with your family, whether it be with your friends, whether you're on a work meeting, whether it's regardless of the situation, is that, you know
yourself, it's not easy. Like, especially in this day and age, you know what I mean? Like with
distractions are 10 a penny.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not easy at all. But yeah, you do massively appreciate things a lot more when you're fully present in them. Whatever that is, like I say, it might be time you're spending with a loved one, or it might be an experience that you're doing, or even like when you're out for a walk. So what I've tried to do recently is not have my headphones on as much, because I feel as though like I can go on a walk for an hour and have my headphones on and have the music in, but then when I come back, it's like I probably couldn't even tell you what the weather was like, because I've took nothing in while I've been out. Do you know what I mean? And I found that, like, I think it actually happened when I was doing the Goggins. And on some of the walks, I forgot my headphones.
Yeah.
So I had no choice then. I had to just be with myself. But I enjoyed it so much more, and I just felt a lot more chilled out, a lot more relaxed because I didn't have any distractions. I was literally just enjoying being there, enjoying being out in the fresh air. Granted, I wasn't enjoying it that much that I had the fucking vest on, but as much as I could do, I was enjoying it. Do you know what I mean? I was enjoying the experience, and that was just another prime example that normally I can go on that walk for a good hour and a half, but just not take anything in, not feel relaxed when I get back because I've just had all this noise. Do you know what I mean? And it's like sometimes it's nice to just get rid of all that and just be present and just appreciate whatever it is that you're doing for what it is.
Yeah, it's massive. And I think that the thing for me there is as well is that when you allow yourself that, and you allow yourself to just sort of, it's not even about removing the thoughts. It's just kind of almost like that. It becomes like that meditation, acknowledging that thoughts are there. But when you're paying attention to the things that are, going on around you, then actually it can give you, if you're in the presence of other people, it can, you can learn things that you didn't know. And if you're, like you say, if you're out on a walk, then it can actually give you the space. I've had quite a lot of like my best ideas for things when I'm out having a walk. I'm actually,
But that's like I say, that's when I've given myself the time to allow them to happen, rather than bringing that self-distraction in and having the music on or pissing about my phone or whatever. Like when I've taken all those things away, I've been exactly the same. I've had loads of good ideas while I've been out on a walk, or it's often been it's been a good way to change my mood as well. Sometimes if I go on a walk and I'm feeling a bit stressed with work or a bit fed up or whatever, I can often, if I don't allow myself to have those distractions and I just go out and just enjoy the walk, I can often come back and feel a lot better.
Yeah.
For doing that, if I do it properly. But I love being outside anyway. Who's ever been outside and like been for a walk or done any form of exercise and felt worse after? You never felt worse after, have you? Ever? So yeah, I love being outside anyway. I love this time of year as well because like now we're getting into March, it starts getting lighter for longer. Weather starts getting a bit warmer, so it's just nicer, isn't it? I mean, I still go out for a walk and everything in the winter, but it's not quite the same, is it? Where you get piss wet through all the time. So
no, it's not as easy to get out your scratcher in the morning to go for.
Exactly.
No. Oh dear. Listen, I've had absolute blast on here. Do you know that we've been chatting now for an hour and 20 minutes?
I can talk. I can talk.
I know. I don't know where it is gone. I've got a few very quick fire questions.
Oh, what is?
And then I'm going to let you go. So just two on this: football or rugby?
Football.
Your team?
Barnsley.
Local man, top. Indian, Italian, or Chinese? I know you like food or something different. Italian. And if you could only eat one dish for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I'd probably just because I do eat it nearly every day of my life anyway. Therefore, I know that I probably wouldn't be able to do it should I need to. I'd have to say salmon and veg because I have it nearly every fucking day. So nearly every day, for my tea. So I'd have to say that just because I'd be confident that I would actually, if I had to have it every day, I more or less do anyway. So yeah, probably do that.
Do you know you're one of the only people that's actually given an answer that's relatively, because one of the things that you're saying earlier, you're always conscious now because of the weight that you lost in your journey. How much weight was it that you ended up losing in total?
6.5 stone.
6.5 stone.
Yeah, I was 19 stone 2, and I think the other day when I got weighed, I was 12.9 or something like that. So yeah, 6.5 stone.
Fantastic.
But like I was saying before, I'm always that far away from being fat because of how much I like food, and that'll never go away ever. So it'll be a constant struggle for the rest of my life to like maintain this now because I just love food so much.
Yeah. I always ask people if there's somewhere that they've not been that they'd love to go. I think you've maybe answered that in some of the things that you've got lined up, be it Zambia, be it Vegas.
It'll actually be Australia.
Australia.
Australia's the one place that I've not been that I'll definitely go to one day.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, lovely, absolutely fantastic place. And so this is a cheeky question, right? Because it's 4-in-1. I was asked it when I was lying on a beach one day, and I actually took a lot of thought, but I put it in as a quick fire. So similarly to like that meal that you and I'm changing it slightly tonight, as is my want. Just like that meal, right? If you could only have one meal again, if you could only ever listen to one album again, read one book, have the company of one person, and watch one film for the rest of your life, what would they be?
Person would be Goggins.
I hope your missus ain't watching this. You're in the shit, mate. I wonder what Goggins would say about that. I'm just giving you some time to think about the others.
The book. Oh, book. What book would it be? I really liked, out of the last 12 months, the one that I really liked Warrior by Jeff Thompson.
Ah, yes. Okay.
I really like. I can tell how much I enjoy a book by how quick I get through it, and I've read that in about 3 days. I couldn't put it down. I loved it. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So what were the other two?
One album.
One album.
Yeah, we used to call them long players in the old days, like us old bastards. Yeah, one LP, one album.
If it was an album, probably the best. I'd say the best album when I was growing up that I had comfortably, I'd say, was definitely Maybe by Oasis.
Oh, good shout.
That was an unbelievable album.
Yeah,
so
good shout.
Probably that. If I had to listen to the full album, it'd be that, because there's not a bad song on it.
No, there isn't. And one film.
One film. What film would it be?
That's a toughie, isn't it?
It is. See, I want to.
You've got that look on your face as if you've got like some porno on your mind or something.
No. It's because I'm just trying to think it, because normally when I watch a film, it's with my son. So I'm trying to think what films we watch, but his favourite film and one of my favourite films is Home Alone. But it makes me watch it all year round, even though it's like a Christmas. He'll have me watching it in June.
Yeah, that's a great film.
So I'm thinking, well, I do watch it majority of the year anyway. So if I had to watch it all the time, it'd not really be an issue. So yeah, probably Home Alone. Yeah,
that's a good choice. That's a great film. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Craig Jones, this has been fantastic. One final question. If you had £100 million, there you go, what would you do with it?
100 million. What would I do with it? Do you know, Graham, what I'd probably do is undo all the fucking hard work that I've put in over the last 12, 18 months and just make a fucking pig's ear of it. So I wouldn't want 100 million. I wouldn't fucking trust myself with it. It's like, no, we've made progress, we've moved forward. Yeah. Keep you 100 million. I don't want 100 million. As long as I've got, and this might sound a bit fucking cheesy, but this is one thing that I'm working on at the minute. As long as, and it ties in with obviously going into the coaching and making the changes in my current job. All I'm bothered about from a financial aspect is having the money to live the life that I want to live. And as long as I've got that amount, that's all I'm bothered about. So yeah, I'm honest enough to say I won't trust myself with 100 million. So I don't want it. I'll let you on. I give it you. That's what I'd do.
I'll hold you to that. These are all recorded. Mate, thank you so much for coming on. I've had a lot of fun tonight. I've learned quite a few things as well. You're an inspirational guy. I mean, your journey, and I really genuinely mean it when I say we're on a very similar journey with the old coaching, and I genuinely, when I say you know, I feel our paths will continue to cross for some time. I wish you all the best with it. You know that if there's anything that I can do to help, I will. Yeah, I will. I hope to see you in the flesh at some point soon. But for tonight, thank you very much indeed. Do you have any final words or any messages for anybody that might be watching, or just a final sort of goodbye?
No, not really. Anybody that doesn't already follow me can follow me on Facebook or Instagram. Instagram is inspire_coaching on my personal Facebook page. The only other thing I've got to add really is, you're right, this is recorded, so you need to tell me when you're booking that 3 Peaks challenge.
Oh dear. I'm gonna I'm
Look, you're squirming. Just get it booked. Just get it booked.
I know.
I'll let you sleep on it tonight, yeah? Drop me a message tomorrow and confirm that you've booked it, yeah?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Now, fuck off.
No, lovely, mate. Thank you. I've really enjoyed it. So.
Oh yeah, me too, mate. Me too.
Sure.
Thank you very much indeed. Listen, don't go. We're gonna hit the end. I'm gonna say thank you very much to everyone for watching. Tune in next week at 8 o'clock. For anyone else that knows boxing, Craig, I know you do. I'll have Mr. Spencer Fearon on talking tunes, talking life experience and lessons, and JFDI. As always, I'm really looking forward to that. For tonight, it's been about Craig Jones. Thank you. And to everyone that's watched and tuned in, thank you very much indeed. We shall see you